Merry Christmas. Good morning. That's what's nice about December is you can always say Merry Christmas because it's Christmas sometime this month, I hope. So maybe some of you have noticed we decorated a little bit. This is about the height of our decoration. Every once in a while we have a Christmas tree, but we didn't do that because we didn't do it. Didn't have enough eggnog. So. We do have our annual food drive going on in the back. As you came in, there's boxes there. Lori. Lori, where are you? You're not around? Lori's doing that, and in the past she would know how many pounds we got over the last couple of years. But hey, Lori, how many pounds did we get last year? Do you remember?
Like
92? Probably a lot more than that, but
I'll look it up.
no big deal. It's no big deal. We got a lot last year, so we're going to get more this year, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Next Sunday we are going to have live musicians, and we'll be playing Christmas music throughout the service. That'll be fun. And remember I told everybody last year that might be the last year Christopher's doing the Christmas Eve service? That was the last year. So he won't be doing it. He won't be doing it this year.
We have it on YouTube.
Do we?
Yes.
Good.
We have it on YouTube. I'm not getting rid of it.
Good. Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely not. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Many years ago, scores were kept track of on a notched stick called tallies. In a sports contest, the tally stick would be nicked each time somebody scored. When a team scored a last-minute point that brought victory to them, that nick was called the nick of in time. The expression eventually changed to nick of time. The wooden tallies, by the way, was a very important part of the official bookkeeping of the British government for many centuries. That's scary, huh? Records were made of sums. Do they do that in the United States now? Is that no? Records were made of sums loaned to the government, and tallies were notched as each payment was made. This practice was discontinued in 1826, and the lawmakers decided to use the wooden tallies to stoke the fires in the stoves of the House of Lords. So, interesting stuff. We do have a couple patron saints by the name of John Lennon and George Carlin. So, I do have another use for this in case it actually just kind of. Let's see if I can do this right and just go. There we go. So, not that this will be distracting at all. Excuse me?
You're scaring the little children.
Oh, okay. We don't have any. Good. John, a role in society or any artist's or poet's role is to try and express what we feel, not to tell the people, can't see, how we feel, not as a preacher, not as a leader, but as a reflection of us all. And George, equally as insightful. Here's a bumper sticker I'd like to see. We are proud parents of child whose self-esteem is sufficient. If you speak the truth, have a foot in the stirrup. Turkish proverb. If you're sailing in the Strait of Messina and come upon a castle floating in thin air, you are seeing an optical illusion called a fata morgana, which only occurs where there are alternating warm and cold layers of air rising from the surface. So, anybody know where the Strait of Messina is exactly?
Between Sicily and Italy.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. My dad landed in Sicily and Italy, World War II. So. Philip Martin Lynch II. So. Stop, drop, and roll won't work in hell. Coincidence is when God chooses to remain anonymous. Okie dokie. I once won an argument with a woman in this dream I had. I know. Oh, was this where I forgot where the heck it was since my little gizmachi floated off and A Sunday school teacher was telling her class the story of a good Samaritan. She asked the class, if you saw a person lying on the roadside all wounded and bleeding, what would you do? A thoughtful little girl broke the hushed silence and said, I think I'd throw up. She might. Okay. Good morning, my body is up. The mind will follow sometime later today, hopefully. Why is it after I push 1 for English, I still can't understand the person on the other end? I don't know. Never ask Google for medical advice. I've gone from a mild headache to a clinically dead in 3 clicks. Some days I just wish I had wisdom of a 90-year-old, the body of a 20-year-old, and the energy of a 3-year-old. Do I hear an amen for that? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to rush through this one because it's a little bit lengthy. We've done it before, but it's still worth doing again. A farmer named Rory was overseeing his herd in a remote mountainous pasture in Scotland, when suddenly a brand new BMW advanced towards him out of the cloud of dust. The driver, a young man in an Armani suit, Gucci shoes, Ray-Ban sunglasses, and a YSL tie, leaned out the window and asked the farmer, if I tell you exactly how many cows and calves you have in your herd, will you give me a calf? Rory looks at the man, who obviously is a yuppie, then looks at his peacefully grazing herd and calmly answers, sure, why not? The yuppie parks his car, whips out his Dell notebook, connects it to his Apple iPhone 5, surfs to a NASA page on the internet where he calls up a GPS satellite and gets the exact fix on his location, which he then feeds to another NASA satellite that scans the area in an ultra-high resolution photo. The young man then opens a digital photo in Photoshop, exports it to the image processing facility in Hamburg, Germany. Within seconds, he receives an email on his Apple iPad that the image has been processed in the data storage. He then accesses an MS SQL database through an OBDC connected Excel spreadsheet with email, and also from his Apple iPhone, and in a very few minutes receives a response. Finally, he prints out a full-color 150-page report of a high-tech miniaturized HP LaserJet printer, turns to the farmer and says, you have exactly 1,586 cows and calves. That's right. Well, I guess you can take one of my calves, says Rory. He watches the young man select one of the animals and looks on with amusement as the young man stuffs it into the boot of his car. Now we know he's in United Kingdom, right? Boot. Then Rory says to the young man, hey, if I can tell you exactly what your business is, will you give me back my animal? The young man thinks about it for a second and then says, okay, why not? You're a member of Parliament working for the UK government, says Rory. Wow, that's correct, says the yuppie. What gave me away? No guessing required, answered Rory. You showed up here even though nobody called you. You wanted to get paid for an answer I already knew to the question I have never asked. You used millions of pounds worth of equipment trying to show me how much smarter than me you were, and you don't know a thing about how working people make a living, or about cows for that matter. That is a herd of sheep. Now give me back my dog. All right, anything else we're missing?
Yes.
What? Oh, okay.
Just our weekly announcements.
Okay.
Announcements. Oh, okay. Next, 21st, right after church, we're doing a giveaway ceremony. Janice kind of explained it to you, and she's also putting it in her emails. It's where it comes from a Native American tradition, and it's where you kind of, think about something that's really dear to your heart, truly valuable, that it is ready to be released. And you bring it in, and we put it all out on a blanket, and then we do a giveaway, an exchange type thing. We're going to have cookies and cider to go along with it, and it's according to Janice's information. She's done this before, and she'll be posting some more stories about some of the ones that she's attended. Some of the stories. Make sure you have a story that goes along with your item, because this is something that's very precious to you that you're willing to release, and there's always a story behind those kind of items. So it's a very beautiful thing. People, pardon me? No. Nope. It's going to be visible. Do you wrap it? No. You don't wrap it, so people can see the items. No wrap. for instance, this week we had a book exchange at work, and they had told us to wrap our books so that we didn't know what we were getting. There were only 4 people who participated, who brought in books, and I was called out of my office to go in because I was one that brought a book. I wrapped my book. It was a Wayne Dyer book that I was ready to release. And I got into the kitchen area where they were doing this, and I think I was the only one that wrapped my book, so the other books were visible. And there was one book sitting on the counter, and the gal who was in charge of this, she said, "You can either pick this one that's wrapped, or maybe one of the, or not wrapped, or one of these books." And I looked at the book on the counter, and it was like, score, snag. It happened to be a Louise Hay book, and it was healing your body from A to Z, I believe is what its title is. I actually had that saved on my Nook, Barnes and Noble to purchase, and I had it, as my favorite type things. So nobody else wanted it, and it was just like, how could that? It was just like meant. It was mine, and it was so cool. So this is exactly what this kind of giveaway is about. The other thing, the 9th, there's no essential oil class. And recipes, we need recipes for the book Lynn's doing. Again, the basket is at the back on the table. Please bring in your recipes. I know I keep forgetting, so I'm going to make myself a note to remember to bring it in next week. Okay, and Sandra says no interchange on the 31st, Wednesday the 31st. Okay. Okay, so is that everything? Did I miss anything? Yes. Okay.
Good morning. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy. Are you done? Thank you. Goodbye. This has been an exciting week for me. And as a result, I have tons of stuff to share with you. Scram. Unfortunately, however, avalanche. Unfortunately, however, I have like this much to share in this much time. So I'm going to do my best. In January, follow me, just trust me, trust the process. In January, we're going to start talking a little bit about manifesting. And manifesting is this wonderful thing that we do that brings to us what our heart desires. Not necessarily what we want, but what our heart desires. And one of the first things that is important for us to do in this manifesting process is part of the healing we're going to do today. So how fun is that? Last night about 11:45, I was heading to bed, and a whole nother section of today's message came through. So it's like, oh my gosh, now I have this much to share with you in this little time. So I'm going to do my best to crank it all out for you. So I apologize if it's too fast, because I still want to have a chance for you to have a process here when I'm done. So let me start by saying that one of the first steps in manifesting what your heart desires is to let go of bitterness. Now, anytime somebody says, well, all you got to do is, when you hear the phrase, all you got to do is, I don't know about you, I shut down and I go, oh, no. This person either doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're oversimplified so much that they haven't got a clue. Because letting go is one of the hardest things we have to do. You've heard the phrase, let go and let God? I hate that phrase. Because between the let go and let God is this whole section of finding the truth and clinging to that and living in the truth. And if we don't have that, we can't let go and let God. Because we let go and we're not connected to anything that hangs us to God, and we just plummet you ever plummeted? Because instead of letting go of a lie and hanging on to the truth, which leads us to a stronger, healthy relationship to God, instead of doing that, we just say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's all okay. I think they call that denial, if I was not mistaken. But here's what happens. Here's what happens. Let's say you're wearing your favorite pair of jeans, and you have a friend that says, oh, come on, let's go for a walk. Well, okay, we're just going to go for a walk. And then your friend says, hey, look over in that field. Let's go look at that tree. That's a really cool tree. I've been there before. It's really cool. Come with me. We have to climb the fence. You go, oh, my new jeans. I don't know. Oh, come on. It's easy. Just come on over the fence. Come on. I'm already over. Come on. Let's go. You can do it. So sure as heck, you get halfway over the fence, catch your jeans on a snag, and you get a tear. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a tear in your jeans, especially new jeans, it's not fun. And if you try to just sew them up, you can't, because the tear is so big that just sewing them up, it pulls and it'll tear right again. And you've got all those frazzled edges, so it doesn't help. So what happens here is you and I live our lives and we end up with these tears in our energy field, in our emotional world, because we have not listened to who we really are. So we have these tears in our being, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It creates this big tear. And so we try to patch that with things that don't work. Because we think energetically, we often don't even consciously know we're doing it, but we patch it with an equal but opposite energy as a patch. It's like instead of getting a nice patch and trimming the edges and doing the patch right and maybe sewing something decorative on there so it looks okay. Instead of doing that, we smack it with duct tape. It works. It works. And when we're in survival mode, you do the best that you can. But this survival mode that we're in, then the patch that we smack to us is an equal and opposite reaction. So, if getting over the fence and creating a tear for me was because I was people-pleasing and not listening to myself, the patch that I tend to put to myself, the patch you might tend to draw to yourself, could possibly look like being around people, places, or things that don't care. People-pleasing is all about, I care so much, I don't want your world messed up. I want you to be okay, so I'm going to make your world all okay. That's part of it. The other part of people-pleasing is I don't want you to hurt because then that makes me feel uncomfortable. So we often will attach ourselves to people, places, and things that don't care. No good will come of this. So whatever wound or hurt you have right now is because you've had this patch that you've stuck on there. And here's what happens. Okay, so we're walking around with a stupid patch. And the universe that loves us so much, for me it's God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. For you it's whatever works for you. I don't care. I don't care what you believe, I care that you believe. So we co-create with universe, we manifest with universe opportunities for us to look at that and rip off that stupid patch that doesn't work anymore and put on a healing that makes it better than new, stronger than new. Okay? Let me give you an example. Before I do that, a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, had an angel I hadn't met before showed up and was visiting with me, and went away. That was fun. Well, he showed up again because there was a situation going on in my life. I'm not sure I can even talk about it yet because I'm kind of emotional about it. But there was a situation going on in my life and I didn't like it. And so for a while, I just, la, 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 la. It's all okay. I'm stoic. I can be fine. It's all good. It won't matter. It's fine. Until I had to just really honestly look at that and say, no, this matters. I don't like it. I don't like it. My grandson used to say, I don't like it. I didn't like it. I don't like it. So I can't change that out there. I can only change this in here. So I thought, okay, when was the first time I ever experienced something like this or felt this? And went back in time, just, memories will pop up. If you give yourself sacred space to process and you ask, memories will show up. So the angel that showed up for me a week ago was the angel of forgiveness. So the angel of forgiveness showed up. Oh, hi, you're here to help me. Okay. So I looked at this situation and we started forgiving things and working on that forgiveness process. More about that in a minute. Set that aside. Wait, trust process. And as I was doing that, I got a lot of stuff healed. And then I got pissed. And the angel of forgiveness said, oh, wonderful. Where did that first come from? What's creating that? I don't like it. What's creating that? And where did you first feel that? So I thought, well, I don't know. Well, you do. But I didn't think I did. And something that happened when I was 10 surfaced. Oh, there it was. And I remember saying, I will never forgive that person for that. As a 10-year-old. Let me give you an example. I'm not going to give you my example because, like I said, it's a little emotional. I can't talk about it. But let's say you're 10. And let's say you're younger than that. I don't care. Pick a name. Pick an age. Whatever. I don't care. You're a little kid. Doing what little kids do, and it's Christmas time. And you're just dancing around playing, and you're so excited, and you're a little more wound up than you normally are. And all of a sudden, in your playing and goofing around, the Christmas tree falls over. And your parents throw a flipping fit, and you get a spanking, and you are told that you always ruin everything, and you ruined Christmas. Now, as a young kid, we don't process what's going on with the other people. All we do is we believe what we're told. And you believe a lie. No, you didn't ruin Christmas. The Christmas tree fell over. That doesn't ruin Christmas. But unbeknownst to you, this was the first Christmas that your parents lived without their mother. One of your grandparents had passed away. And one of the things that your parents inherited was grandma's ornaments. And when that Christmas tree fell, before the Christmas tree fell, you felt, maybe you were a bit of an empath, and you could feel there was stress in the house. This is their first Christmas without mom. So they're stressed. And you feel that. You don't know what it is, but you have a sense of it. Kids feel stuff. Kids get it. The parents aren't talking about, oh, this is our first Christmas without our mother. They're being very stoic and pretending it's all fine. And it's not all fine. And when the Christmas tree falls over and the ornaments crash or shatter, this is symbolic of the shattering of that relationship for them. And they're upset. And in their upset, they say and do things that a child perceives as their fault. Now you have this wound, big old wound. So what are you going to fill that with as a kid? As a kid, you're walking around with this big, huge wound of, I ruined Christmas. So now you have this energy of, I don't ever dare have this energy of joyful, exuberant anticipation. I can't. It's not safe for me to feel that way anymore, ever. So what do? We slap a patch on that thing so we can survive. We're survivors. And we patch that with either I don't care or situations, that as people that will come into our lives that will prove to us that we're not good. Over and over again. Not the same person even. Different people come up. Have you noticed that same stuff just keeps happening? Knowing people up here. So, When we get to a place where something's going on in our life and we don't like it, it could be that we're ready to heal that wound and see the truth of it. And this angel of forgiveness went with me into that situation. And so we were looking at that. Now there's forgiveness that has to happen when I'm looking at my own situation. You know, I was a kid. I get to forgive myself for being a dumb kid, all that stuff. And then forgive the parent that said the thing that hurt me, did the thing that hurt me. And all of a sudden another angel shows up. And this is the angel of compassion. And this angel of compassion just came and got right next to me. And this beautiful energy, I could describe it this way. It was like laying on the sand, a sandy beach, and the warm water was just lapping up over your body. Not to the point where you were drowning, but, you know, just washing over you. And every time the water came in, it was warm and comforting. And every time the water left, it just pulled away any pain and sorrow. It was beautiful feeling, just beautiful feeling. And I loved that. Oh, I felt so wonderful about that. And I knew in that moment that this divine angel being understood my pain. Got it. I didn't have to explain anything. They got it. And it was like, oh, you know, that shouldn't have happened to a child. What was said to you was not right. What was done to you wasn't right. It wasn't sexual abuse. I want to clear that out of your mind. Okay. So, but it hurt me deeply. And here I'm 65 almost. I'm 64. And I'm still carrying a wound from that, a gaping, angry, hurtful, tormented wound. And this beautiful angel just held me in this compassionate state and let me just be. And I felt understood, and I felt cared for, and I felt loved. I felt precious. Not Lord of the Rings precious, but precious. I knew you were thinking that anyway, so just get it out of the way. And then this angel who is supporting me and holding me in this beautiful, loving energy said, now look at the other person. And this wash of compassion washed over me and touched this other person. And I knew in that moment that that person had their own wounds, and the only choice they could make for their own survival was taking power from a sweet little 10-year-old kid that didn't deserve it. But that's how they could survive and keep going. And that was their patch that they smacked on that. And in that moment, I had compassion for that person. I forgave them. And as I forgave them, I looked and turned to the angel of forgiveness, and his true self manifested to me. He was the angel of peace. Without compassion and forgiveness, you can't have peace. Peace within your soul, peace on earth. Without compassion and forgiveness locked together, cannot have peace. And in that moment of peace, the wound healed. Now I can think about that. I still am pretty emotional about it. Maybe I'll be able to talk about it someday. But I can look back at that and go, that was a sad thing, but it's healed. It doesn't hurt me anymore. And then in that moment, the next thing was just phenomenal. In that moment, then I could see every time someone was in a situation where they had to choose power over my feelings. Every single time. Every single time. And it washed all of that away. Forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. And a cascading effect happened. So the person that couldn't trust ever, ever, ever again, couldn't trust. Trust followed that link all the way through to present time. And now I have a new measure of trust that I've never been able to acquire until now. That's soul retrieval. That's a piece of soul retrieval. Because here's what happens. When we have a trauma, we have this tear. It'll happen on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels, all 4 levels. In order to survive, that's been torn out, or we've separated, dislocated from that. In order to survive, again, we slap something else in its place, but we disassociate from that. We believe the lie because that perpetuates this patch, this inappropriate patch. I believe the lie that I was not good enough. And throughout my life, I've had situations that kept trying to prove that to me. And this is where we get all screwed up when we think God is so mean. Because we think God is sending this stuff to punish us or to hurt us. No, 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 no. This is this beautiful opportunity that Spirit or God, higher power, whatever that is for you, brings us the opportunity to heal. So we get one more smack across the face saying, you're going to believe the lie? What's your truth? And if we can go back and look at it and go, oh, the truth is, I'm this joyful, enthusiastic person with this wonderful, joyful anticipation. I'm this trusting, loving person. When we can recognize that, the lie falls away like dominoes. You ever played dominoes? Stack them up. Tweak. One little tiny tweak. And it all falls away. All of it. Now, the key here is that we probably have 50,000 little wounds all over. And there's lots of work to be done. But it's not hard work. It's sweet, wonderful, beautiful work. And in exchange, the power that comes to us is unbelievable. It's like you've had a dam backing all this energy up, and now you have this wash of tremendous energy coming to the surface. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. So the good book says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away with you, along with all malice, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ has also forgiven you. And that is in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 and 32. Set aside the bitterness. Let it go. If you want to manifest what your heart truly desires, bitterness is the first thing that's got to go. And bitterness happens when we have these huge wounds. Anger happens when we have these huge wounds and we patch them with duct tape. We get to let them go. We need to release them. It's time. It's time to release that stuff. If you ever get a chance to read in this manifesting, go up a few verses where it says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. That's 26. Read the whole rest of that chapter. It's awesome stuff. Doesn't say, don't be angry. It says, be angry, but don't sin. There's time and a place for anger. But when we don't deal with it and we smack another patch onto it, that's when the bitterness happens and the malice and all of that other stuff. And that doesn't hurt anybody but me. That doesn't hurt anybody but you. So whatever's happened in your world right now is a result of something way back when. And if it's a recurring pattern, you're ready to look at it. You're ready. It's time. Ephesians chapter 4. Sometimes we mask pain. You know, I'm asking you to look at a pain. And sometimes we mask that stuff. We eat. We spend too much money. We watch too much TV. You know, that sort of thing. We keep ourselves go, busy, busy, busy. A lot of activities. What we do sometimes is if we can look at the things that are out of balance in our life, here's a clue. Here's a clue. That there might be something here, that it's time and you're ready to look at it. And the good news is you don't have to look at it alone. You have these two beautiful angelic presences that are here to assist you. Okay, well that's it. I'm going to talk to you just a minute about suicide. Because when you get lots of wounds and you keep smacking these different bandages on them that don't work, they help you survive, but in the long run they really don't work. And you get to a point where I just can't take it anymore. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're done, you're toast. Been there, done that. I told myself that it wasn't, I had no value. If you're telling yourself you have no value, you could be wrong. You could be wrong. And it could be that this is the sweet, precious moment that your soul and divine spirit are connecting and conspiring to bring to the surface that it's time to heal. And that maybe, just maybe, you don't have the tools that you need. Because if you had the tools, you could make a difference. But you don't, so you feel helpless. Suicide is this lockdown moment where we get locked into a place where we feel like, I can't change, no one will help me, it'll never be any better. Bullshit. You can change, you just don't have the tools. Cut yourself some slack. Cut yourself some slack. The tools that you've used have given you survival, so you could be at this flashpoint moment of saying, it's not working. Hallelujah. So now it's time to do it differently, my dear friends. Let's do it differently. Maybe nobody's helped you in the past because the bandage you keep slapping on it is people that won't help. Rip that sucker off. And look at it differently. Ask somebody different to help you. Ask somebody that has a tool or two. Go to somebody who has exactly what you want. You see somebody that's got their set together, go ask them, how'd you get your set together? I guarantee you nobody's born with your set together. You're born with all this unlimited possibility. But you're not born with your set together. And then life happens and jumbles all that stuff up. But if we can take ourselves and recognize that this moment is a moment that we can begin to heal. And now you have the angelic presence of the angel of forgiveness and the angel of compassion. And the amazing amount of compassion that is applied to you because you're a survivor. Because you are. You can change. And here's the magic that happens. When I change this person here, out there changes. The different people show up in my life. Different circumstances show up in my life. That's what manifesting is all about. That's what's so exciting. I manifested something this week. It's rather odd. Let me share it with you. I've been wearing a heart monitor. Apparently I've got a real low pulse rate. So they're looking at that. And I was wearing this heart monitor. I had 4 days left to go. I was like, 4 days. I don't think I can take it. I can take it. I can do it. I'm tough. I can handle it. I'm just going to make it happen. Told you I have an iron will. Did I tell you that? So I get ready to put the gizmo back on again after a shower. I'll be gosh, go to heck. Thing slips out of my hand, hits the floor. That's it. Monitor's done. That's a slippery little son of a gun. Phil tried putting the battery back in and all kinds of stuff. Nah, it's gone. So I'm done. I'm done with that. 4 days left to go. So the part of me, the ego part of me says, I could have made it, I could have done it. Then there's another part of me that's, oh, thank God, I don't have to be hooked up to those wires anymore. I'm sick of that. But that's manifesting. I didn't say, oh, let me drop that. My intent was to very carefully keep going 4 more days. But my spirit says, nah, we're done. we're done. We're just going to take this right off the table.